Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel C++ with Omkar. Today we are going to solve a very interesting array problem, move zeros. This is a common interview problem and is also used to understand how to optimize array operation. So let us get started.
Now we are starting with our problem, move zeros. The problem is already given and it says that all the zeros elements should move to the last and without changing the order of non-zero elements. By explaining the problem statement, you are not able to understand or relate more. That's why I want to show representation of array by which I could explain much better. By that, you all can be able to understand what this problem is about. For this problem, there is two approaches or two solution. One is brute force approach, another one is optimized approach. What is mean by brute force approach? The brute force approach main goal is to solve the problem. It will not think about time complexity and space complexity. In the case of optimized approach, there are three primary goals look after to solve the problem and to check time complexity and space complexity. For this problem, I will solve brute force as well as optimized also because the optimized approach is based on two pointer approach that we have discussed in previous videos. So I can able to explain the optimized approach also. But in this video, we will not discuss about time complexity and space complexity because till now we have not completed time complexity and space complexity video.
Now we are going for brute force approach. In step 1, we have to create a vector of size n which containing non-zero elements as well as zero elements. Before going to step 2, pause the video and think how to solve this problem by your own. According to my logic, we need to store the zero elements to the last. For that, I will create a new vector with size n with all index containing zeros. This is step 2. Like this, I have created a vector 2 containing all zero elements because at last we need to store zero elements itself. For third step, we need to traverse through vector. So for that, we use looping. I will use for loop. Now we came for the logic part. In vector 2, we are containing all elements as 0. That means at last always it containing zeros. By this observation, our problem is half solved because our problem statement is that 0 element should be at the last. Now, in our problem statement, the second part is without changing order of non-zero element what the sequential manner they appear. For that, we will use if condition whether the current element is non-zero or 0. If it is non-zero, we will store the value of current index from original vector to newly created vector. For example, I have wrote here the logic. For the traversing, we use for loop. It is pointing by I pointer. It will travel till the n size and it will be incremented. And we have created a vector 2 initialized with j starting with 0. It has to be also incremented. So we have created a j++ here. Now once we will trace this logic, for example, I equal to 0. It is containing 1. We will check the condition v1 of I. That means v1 of 0 is 1. It is not equal to 0. That means it is a non-zero element. It has to be stored in new vector. We will store here in new vector and I will be incremented as well as j also incremented because how it is stored vector 2 of j, that means vector 2 of j is 0 is equal to vector 1 of 0, that is 1. The 1 is copied to new vector. Similarly for 2, it is also non-zero element, it also copied here and j++ I++. Similarly, by doing this process we will get at the last two zeros only because In original vector, we are containing only two zeros. Now we are almost done with our problem. We have reached our last step, that is, again we have to restore the elements from copied vector to original vector, because ultimately we have to return the original vector itself. So we have to do v1 equal to v2. That means the v2 elements are copied to v1.
Now starting with boilerplate code, I need to include vector also. Now I will write function because we have already discussed functions in previous classes. I will give function name as move zeros, and after that we will write main method. Firstly, we will create vector v1 of elements 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 0 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 0 comma 8. Okay, now we will take the size of this given array. Size is equals to v1 dot size. We will get the size of that array or vector. Now we will call our function. Okay, we will take parameters vector. Here I am using ampersand to take the reference of that vector v1, and I want size of array also, vector also, and here we will pass v1 comma n. Okay, firstly, according to our logic, we need to create another vector int v2. In this, we not required to store the values. I will initialize with size. By default, it will take till the size all zeros. Now we want to check all the elements. For that, I need traversal. For that, I will use looping. I will use now for loop. I will take variable to point the index I with 0 less than n until the end. The pointer should point the all the elements. It should be updated if the conditions are true. The first condition to check that we need to store the elements in new vector if it is non-zero element. So v1 of I is not equal to 0. Then we will store v2 of to point v2. We required another pointer or variable. I will take j initialize with 0 because vectors or arrays start with 0. I need to store v1 value in v2. Okay, after that the j value also should be incremented, so I need to do here j plus plus. By this we completed our logic, but the main part is to restore the values what we have stored in v2. Okay, now we will print all the elements. Here I am using for each loop. Okay, I forgot to give the data type cout value with spacing. Okay, now let me run it for you. See, we got zeros at last. This is about brute force.
If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to C++ with Omkar. Thank you.